Since Kitco last talked to Kai Hoffmann in mid-February, gold has made a $180 round trip, hitting a high of $20.49 an ounce off of geopolitical tensions in Russia, Ukraine before settling back. But have precious metal high prices benefited the juniors? Kai, good to have you back.
Michael, it's great to be back on. Thanks for having me.
Kai is the CEO of Ornick, which tracks junior financings. Kai, what are we seeing in the junior space?
It's interesting out there right now because it's a muddled picture a bit. You mentioned the high gold prices, and to circle back to like the overall topic of the conversation, I don't think they're really benefiting just yet. Like the market is really still a bit meh about the whole situation. It's like there's not even a technical term for it. I don't know what traders use for meh, but it's really not that exciting in the junior world. Yes, we're raising money, but I also met companies recently that are still struggling to raise money, especially on the greenfield side. So it's not all like, and again, great technical terms, are not all honky dory in junior world right now. It is quite muddled. The bigger companies or the well-run teams, they are raising the money while the juniors, the grassroots and greenfields juniors are struggling.
It is always interesting talking to the seniors, and certainly when these financials are dropped, how they're levered to gold. You see that there is going to be an increase, but I won't say exponential, but there's even a greater increase in terms of the profitability and their war chest. So they have more decisions they can make, either if they're going to give back in dividends or they're actually going to be doing more acquisitions. Kai, any financings that you want to highlight since we talked to you last?
Yeah, since you mentioned the war coffers and the war chests of the bigger companies, I want to highlight a couple of financings like that I've just seen recently. One is BHP investing $100 million into Filo mining, for example, but also Teck investing into Fireweed Zinc. Teck also investing into Bunker Hill, and there are others of the like. Like I actually like seeing that those majors are more and more investing. Agnico Eagle is really, I wouldn't say aggressive, but really active right now, supporting juniors, maybe following some new ideas as well. They just done a carbon deal together with Star Royalties. That is really interesting to see. They are using some more of that money instead of dividending it out. They're diverting it into the juniors and starting to fill up their exploration pipeline a bit more.
That has been a criticism in the junior sector crowd is that when is some of this money going to kind of trickle down and then actually kind of, how would you say, water the garden and see some more growth in the area. Now, it's been just under 2 months since we talked last. What's been the biggest news stories this spring, winter in the gold space for you, Kai?
If we don't look at the gold price overall, I think if we leave that aside, because I think it has been quite influenced by the geopolitical situation. I like looking at the junior sector, obviously, and maybe the mid-tier to junior space. And I think the Kirkland Lake Agnico Eagle merger, which was finalized in early March, I think is going to be the biggest influence for the rest of the year on the sector. As quite a bit of fallout is coming out of that. Tony McCooch just joined, he has been a board member of Wallbridge for a while, but he's just stepped up as chairman. So we'll probably see him more get involved in the company as well. And that's what I'm seeing in the sector. As I just mentioned before, Agnico is investing even more now into the junior exploration companies as well. So that's what's going to be leading and maybe trend setting in the sector this year.
I think which has been remarkable for me, or what I've noticed in the sector, has really been kind of the comeback of gold. It just performed really well off of the geopolitical, or unfortunately the tragic, the tragic happenings in Ukraine, but it was really proved to be a safe haven for investors.
Absolutely. Like Bitcoin dropped actually on the day of when Russia officially invaded, for example. One thing I'm a bit disappointed in is actually silver and the price performance of silver and how it's decoupled a bit from the gold price. So it's not as seen as a safe haven investment to a degree, as it hasn't seen the same move up as gold has. And I'm still puzzled about that, quite frankly. So the investor community or investment community must still regard it as pretty much an industrial metal. We do see the Reddit groups, of course, still showing and sharing their stacks. And I've recently talked to Brian London as well. And he talked actually about a short squeeze, a silver squeeze happening right now again, because apparently the mints can't produce enough coinage or bullion on the smaller scale. They have enough 1,000-ounce bullion like bars, but nothing on the smaller scale. So there's a bit of a short squeeze happening, but we're not seeing it reflected in the silver price yet, for example.
I think some of these silver miners and silver juniors, I noticed that they seem to really be leading with the energy transition theme. So maybe they've been telling that story too strongly, and they've also forgot their roots around the precious metal side. Any news outside of precious metals, either in copper, that has piqued your interest, Kai?
No, philo mining, I think, keeps running from all-time high to all-time high. That's a story. We were wondering, like, where does it end, right? Lots of investors are sitting on a 10-bagger right now. And I just mentioned BHP invested into philo $100 million. I think we're going to see more of those transactions this year, although there's not a lot of projects where you can deploy easily $100 million. Western Copper and Gold is one in the Yukon that I'm following quite closely. Rio Tinto is invested there. And I just had a conversation with management. They are almost at the end of a due diligence process, pretty much, that Rio Tinto has been running internally. And that could lead to some interesting results. And if that doesn't lead to anything, I know Western Copper is quite intrigued to look at other assets as well. But I think the casino project will keep them busy for a while. So I'm not too concerned them going out and buying something else.
Now, Kai, you're joining us from Germany. France is going into an election. We have the new Chancellor in Germany who's really getting a baptism by fire with what has actually happened in Ukraine and Russia right now. What are you seeing the impact on commodity and markets from the European perspective?
It's been interesting because, of course, like, I visited my parents. We had conversations about what is going on, and they told me, like, all their friends are complaining about higher gas prices. Like in Germany, you have to prepay for gas. Like you get I'm not sure what the English expression is, but you have to pay like a monthly before you get the final, like, a year end, like, sort of bill. And that has increased by almost 100% for some households. And that's a lot of money. When you're, like, prepayment goes up from 150 euros a month to 300 euros a month. A lot of families cannot stomach that. They sometimes live in low rent housing, and that is just not affordable. And that's where we're seeing that's a big trend, and that came up in a lot of conversations over the last 6-7 days here in Germany.
You have a show coming up next week, Kai.
We do SF Online. It's our 12th session already. Wednesday, 6 a.m. PST. And we have a fantastic lineup. Jim Lewis of Wall Street Silver is joining us. We're going to have a live Q&A with him. And we have 7 fantastic companies. Defiance Silver is one of them, for example, but also Trifecta Gold. They have a project in Nevada. Live translation into German as well. So it's going both ways, English and German. And of course, it's free to sign up, soarfinancial.com/events. And I'll be your host.
Kai, thanks for speaking with Kitco.
Michael, thanks for having me. It's always great to see you.
He's Kai Hoffmann. My name is Michael McRae, and you're watching Kitco Mining.